Thanks for watching Lessons in Minutes with Jaylee. Like, share, and don't forget to subscribe.
Hey guys, welcome back. Let us take another step into looking at the sales journal. At the end of this session, you should be able to demonstrate how to make postings from the sales book to the sales ledger and general ledger. Remember, in the sales book, we record credit sales. Now, what it's basically saying is that you have sold goods on credit to a particular account receivable debtor, basically. Now, let us review the double entry to record credit sales. Once there is credit sales, the account to be debited is accounts receivable account, and the account to be credited is sales. Now, the accounts receivable account, basically, what you're doing is indicating that there's an increase in the value of what this debtor is owing to your business. And in the sales account, you're recording an increase in the value of sales. But in terms of posting from the sales book, once you make a record of the credit sales, same time in the sales ledger, you're going to make the record in the accounts receivable account, the respective debtor account. At the end of the period, in your sales account, which is located in your general ledger, you're going to make a record of the total credit sales for the period, that total value coming from the sales book for that period, which represents your total credit sales. Now, we are going to transition into looking at part B and C of this question, which we had started in our previous lesson, where you are asked to prepare the receivable accounts in the sales ledger and the sales account in the general ledger. So we are going to move over to preparing the respective accounts, do the respective postings. Now, in our previous lesson, we had prepared this, which is part A of the question, and that is the sales journal. What we're required to do now is to make the respective postings for these, all four credit sales that were made for the period, and then at the end of the period, we're going to transfer to the sales account. The correct thing to do, people, is that once you make a record of the credit sales in your sales journal, you move over to the sales ledger and make the posting to the respective debtor account. And remember, that must be debited. At the end of the period, you'd pick up your total credit sales from the sales journal. And remember, our total credit sales is 12,980. We're now going to get into doing the posting. Now, remember earlier, I mentioned that the ledger that you're preparing is the sales ledger. So therefore, we have to indicate that we are preparing the sales ledger. And to do that, you just make a record of the sales ledger at the top of your page to show that you're within the sales ledger. Anything that falls below the title sales ledger indicates that you're within the sales ledger. Those accounts are in the sales ledger. The first transaction, the first entry coming from the sales journal was that there was credit sales to Upford Kitchens Limited. So we need to prepare an account for Upford Kitchen Limited. And remember, you are debiting the account. What do we mean by debiting the account? I can't help but stressing this because oftentimes candidates, persons mix up debiting with crediting because they're focusing on the details rather than the account itself. So we're within the account of Upford Kitchen Limited. We need to debit this account. In debiting the account, what we are doing is putting that entry on the left-hand side of the account, on this side of the account, the left-hand side. So let us make that entry into Upford Kitchen Limited. Now, what we need to pull from the sales journal, is this. June 2nd, the credit says to Upford Kitchens Limited, and the value is $3,740. That is what we are pulling from the sales journal. On the debit side, our date is 2018, and that is June 2nd. Our details is the other item affected. Remember, this is credit sales. The two items affected are the debtor account, which is Upford for this date, and sales. So our details is the other item affected, and that is sales. Now the amount is $3,740. We are going to move into making the posting for June 12th, and the account that we need is a bundle account. And again, that is a debit entry. Remember, the debit entry is on the left-hand side of the account. We're within a bundles account, and we are making the debit entry on the left-hand side. The date is June 12th. The details, again, is sales, because that's the other item affected, and the amount is $2,670. We're going to make the posting for June 15, and that is Upford Kitchens Limited. We have that account already prepared, so we're just going to make that entry. That is the 15th. The details, sales, the amount is $5,090, and that completes that entry. Let's move into the 29th, and 29th should be recorded in a bundles account, and again, that's a debit entry. That is the 29th as our date. The details is sales. The amount is $1,480, and that completes the posting to the sales ledger for the credit sales for these two customers. So in the customer's account, in the sales ledger. So let us move into posting the last thing. So we are at the end of the period, and we need to post our total credit sales. This credit sales must be recorded in the sales account. Now, let us move into the sales account, but that sales account is located in the general ledger. Again, you have to indicate the ledger and the accounts when they fall below that title, then you know that you're within that particular ledger. So here we go. Our account is sales account, and what we're pulling from this, and of course, people, there will be other entries in the sales account for the period, because yes, the business is going to have cash sales, and those cash sales would have been recorded in it, right? But at the end of the period, we pick up our total credit sales. You'll see the record for cash sales when we look at the cash book. So this is 2018 as the date. Remember, we are crediting the sales account, so therefore the entry is placed on the credit side of the account. To know the account title has to be at the top of the T. It has to be right there for you to know that you're within that account. We are crediting, we go on the right-hand side of the account. So this is June 30th, because we're at the end of the period. Our details is total credit sales, and the amount is $12,980. Yes, we pull the total from the sales journal. So just to review what we have done, we have posted all, when I say all, I mean all the credit sales for the period to the sales ledger in the respective accounts. We have Upford and we have a bundle. And remember, the entries were debited. The entries were debited because it is a credit sales. And when there is a credit sale, you debit the customer's account and you would have to credit the sales account. Remember, when you're debiting, you're making the entry on the left-hand side of the account. You're focusing on the account title. The other thing that we have done to complete the posting, people, is to post our total credit sales at the end of the period to the sales account, in the general ledger. And that takes us to the end of this session, where we looked at posting credit sales to the respective accounts in the ledgers.
Like, share, and don't forget to subscribe.